budget, where magic meets the heart. Commander's Pod, where the stories unfold, with heroes and villains new and old. Duncan and Sloan got the word, in the world of EVA we play.
Hello everyone, welcome again to Commander's Pod. I'm your pod father Duncan.
I'm Sloan.
And we are Jeffless this week. But we wanted to talk to you about is Budget Commander dead? That's our main topic. It's something I've seen a lot of people talking about, things that have come up in conversation. People feel like the low-cost Commander decks can't compete.
Yeah, I mean, the price of the more recent flashy cards would attest to that, I feel like. But We'll see.
We'll get into it. We'll give some ideas and talk about that. We'll have a That Doesn't Do What You Think It Does. We're going to talk about the new Sonic Secret Lair. It's coming out in a couple weeks.
It's so fast.
So fast. And that's kind of it. So the new Secret Lairs, the Sonic Secret Lairs. So people have feelings about it.
Yeah, I mean, they announced it as of the recording of this. It was almost 4 days ago now, because I believe it was Friday they announced it. It was either Friday or Thursday they announced it, this past Friday or Thursday. I mean, it's hard to make the connection between Sonic and Magic the Gathering, obviously.
Not any harder than SpongeBob.
Well, but the difference was SpongeBob didn't come with any unique cards. So this one, they actually have unique cards coming out. So these are actual, not reskins, some of these. Some of these are, they have 3 total Secret Lairs coming out that are Sonic themed. There is the characters, which are all new cards, and then they have 2 sets of reskins basically that are coming out with it. So the reskins, I'm just going to read through them real quick because you can go look up the pictures. The ones that we mainly want to talk about are the characters. So the reskins are going to be the Reaver Cleaver, Swiftfoot Boots, Mirror Battlesphere, Lightning Greaves, and Hammer of Nazim, and then Weatherlight, and then there is a Mirror token that they reskinned. That set of reskins, sorry, I should tell you the name, is Turbo Gear. So that Secret Lair Sonic's Turbo Gear is all that stuff.
And all of that is reskins. There's no
no original cards there. They're all just reskins. The art is, a couple different things you can see. It's like shoes from different characters, and Knuckles' fist is in there. So it's just reskin of existing cards. The next set of reskins is called Chasing Adventure. You have Generous Gift, Open the Armory, Fabricate, Deadly Dispute, Unexpected Windfall, Soul Ring, and Treasure. Now, I will say out of these ones, the Soul Ring is super cool, especially if you get that in foil. That one will probably throw up.
I love the treasures, though, as being the ring.
Yeah, so the treasures are the rings, which is sick. I mean, if they didn't do that, we should have done a write-in campaign and been like, we are not going to accept these treasures until you fix it, because that would have been ridiculous. So those are other cards that they are reskinning. So they're not different names. They're still the original name of the cards.
Now,
but
the other one had different names. Right?
Yeah, the other one, the first set that I read off, the reskin of Turbo Gear, they actually have different names, like Air Shoes, Knuckles Gloves, Egg Hammer. But the name of the original card is underneath it like they've done in previous ones. So that one is a full reskin. The second set I just read, which is the Chasing Adventure, it's just the art is a reskin. The name is still the same. Yep. The one that we care about most, though, is the characters. These are all new cards.
All mechanically
new, and they have their own new mechanics included with them, which includes Duncan's favorite part of Magic, which is...
New keywords.
Yay. We got to make a segment where we go, new keyword, and do a whole bunch of stuff for you, because this is Duncan's favorite thing. So a lot of people are talking about different cards in this that they mentioned. The 2 that I've seen mentioned the most, and you can tell me if you think otherwise, is Super State, which is a 7-drop legendary enchantment aura. Enchant creature you control. Enchanted creature's base power and toughness 9/9 has flying, first strike, trample, and haste. Whenever enchanted creature deals combat damage to an opponent, it deals that much damage to each other opponent. So
that's pretty good.
That's
pretty good.
I'm going to tell you right now. You know who wants this real bad? Cloud. Because Cloud gets to do that twice. So that hurt real bad.
Or there's a partner commander too.
Oh, the little red guy.
Yeah.
The little red lizard dude who also deals damage. Yeah, that'd be gross because he already deals damage to everybody else, and then you get to do it again. That'd be silly. So that's
the person getting hit would actually, in that case, be like...
They'd be better off.
Yeah.
Yeah, they would be much better off because it wouldn't double on them. It would double on everybody else, so that's hilarious. So that's Super State. That's the one of the two that I think I've seen the most. I'm going to read the other ones real quick, and I'll let you know what the other one is that's the most, I think, talked about. So Knuckles, the Echidna, jeez Louise, I can't say these names. Amy Rose, Dr. Eggman, Miles, Tails Power, Sonic the Hedgehog, and then the other one that I've heard most people talking about is Shadow the Hedgehog. The reason why he's black, black, red, red. Haste, whenever Shadow the Hedgehog or another creature you control with flash or haste dies, draw a card. Pretty good mechanic. Also, I'm sorry, he's a 4/2. Here's the part, though, that everyone's talking about. Chaos Control. Each spell you cast has split second if mana from an artifact was spent to cast it. They haven't done anything with split second in a hot minute. And then they decide, you know what? Let's give everything split second because that's a good idea. And so I'm going to tell you, when this card was announced, there was one person in particular, I'm going to call him out. Bryce sent me a text message so fast. And I said, Bryce, I'm shoving this into my Prosper deck so fast, I might need to buy new sleeves because I'm going to rip the sleeve so hard when I shove this card in that deck. This is disgusting. The thing that people kind of forget about, and there's a guy I follow, and I apologize, I can't remember his name, but he does a lot of really good shorts, and he talked about this guy is, in high-powered CEDH...
Was it Rip, Pull, Repeat?
No, it's...
Because he did one on it. I've seen a ton of people do on this.
Yeah.
I haven't seen King Luke. I saw Rip, Pull, Repeat do it.
Yeah, his name's like Brendan something. He was actually at Vegas Con, and he did some videos when he was there. But he pointed out something that people kind of forget, because the first thing you always think of is treasures, right? Which is why Prosper is so good with them, because those are artifacts. And I can tap one of those, sack it, and then use regular mana, and now my thing has split second. Can't be touched until it resolves on the stack, which is great. And also, which was funny, I thought about this actually gives counter split second because Pyroblast is red as well as Red Elemental. And those are both counters, and now...
Tibalt's Trickery.
All three
Will's
of those...
Reversal is kind of a counter.
Yeah, so now all of those have split second, so you can now counter stuff at split second speed and no one can touch it, which I thought was hilarious. But he pointed out that this is probably going to be the new number one Rakdos CEDH commander because... all of your fast mana is artifacts.
Well, and you can play artifact lands.
Right, and that's the other thing. So just think about anything that has the tag artifact and produces mana, boom, this hits it. And one of the things that's funny is there is a way to give everything you own the artifact type. So then everything...
There's a couple ways. Synth Lattice.
Right. And so if you have any kind of mana producing creatures, like even like, for example, mirrors are artifact creatures. Their mana now is split second mana for you. You know, so... And
there's ways you can temporarily, too.
Right. Yeah. Even for one turn, all permanents are...
There's the two,
whatever.
They have similar names. Gosh darn it.
Yeah.
One is a rock, and the other one only does the thing.
Right.
I can't remember what they're called now. I use them all the time. But yeah, so you can temporarily turn your land into an artifact.
Well, even Relic of Legends, where you tap down a legendary creature to activate its ability to produce one mana of any color. That is mana from an artifact. That counts. You know, so very cool idea. I do think, and again, I will say this because I am not someone that is blinded by my love for my commander. This is a problem. He will be a problem so fast. It hasn't happened yet, but Final Fantasy's only been out for 2 weeks now, I think, the official release. So I still have 2 more weeks till Vivi gets on the Game Changers list, and I'm wrong. But I definitely think Vivi's going to make it to the Game Changers list. But when this comes out, this will be on the Game Changers list.
I mean, Vivi, if it makes it to the Game Changers list, is probably going to be August or September.
Right. So with this coming out before those announcements, there's a good chance when this gets out and gets into play, we might see this guy make the list. Now, the other ones are cool, too. They're very flavorful. I think they did a good job with the whole haste. All the Sonic and Shadow both have haste. Tails has flying. Dr. Eggman has flying because of his robots. Amy Rose has haste. Knuckles is the only one who doesn't, but again, he's not the fastest. He's a different race. He's not a hedgehog. He's the Echidna. But they're all really cool. I think
it's Echidna.
Echidna. There you go. That's what it is. Echidna. I knew I was saying it wrong. Echidna. Most of them actually are normal types too. So you have human, artificer, 2 warriors, mercenary, and a warrior. So they, besides being a hedgehog or echidna or human, they also have the other types.
Is Sonic a hero?
He is a Hedgehog Warrior. I wish he was Sonic the Hero. That'd been dope.
I think I've done Human Warrior Hero. They've done more.
Well, Hedgehog Warrior, yeah. I mean, they could have, but I guess not. Well, you also have to remember they probably made these 2 years ago.
Yeah, maybe.
So Hero probably didn't.
I mean, the amount of IPs we're seeing this year is
insane.
Wow.
Yeah, insane. So, hate it or love it, the cards are coming out on the 14th, like normal, which is I believe is a Monday.
So I'll just be honest. I'm picking this up for my sons because I bought these SpongeBob ones to make him a Joda deck.
Right.
So I'll put him in there for that.
Yeah.
I'm gonna get you the one you want.
Yeah. This is actually the first time I'm probably actually having someone do. I had a little bit of birthday money left over, and so I was looking through your cards at the shop the other night. I was like, you know what? I can't find anything I want. I'm just going to give Duncan some money to buy me a set so I can, because I want Shadow so bad. Yeah. Like, I want him so bad that it's unhealthy.
But, so, Sloan's position at the company doesn't allow him to jump on and buy it, so I'll be his proxy there. But,
yeah.
I don't... We'll see. Now remember, supposedly, although they're way behind on this, any mechanically unique secret layers
will be
reprinted as a normal card.
Yeah, and we don't know. They never gave us. Did they ever give a time frame on that?
No.
Yeah,
luckily because they're behind.
Right. Because Deadpool obviously was one that happened this year also with mechanically unique abilities. So. But that's a Sonic Secret Lair. They announced it a couple days ago as of this recording. Comes out on the 14th. If you want it, if you're a Sonic fan, I think they did justice to the characters. The art and everything was very reminiscent of the original characters. The abilities are very similar to even, Sonic's ability called Gotta Go Fast. Obviously that's his whole shtick, and he has haste, so it makes sense. So I think overall, very, very good job with these. I think even the reskins that they picked and decided to do made sense also. So, I think overall it's going to be a pretty fun secret layer, but beware of the Shadow, I feel like. That's going to be the guy that's going to rear his head the most out of these ones.
They'll probably all basically sell it at the same time, but I bet that's the one that technically goes first.
The character-based packet. And again, that one, in case you guys are wondering, is called Friends and Foes. So that is the one with all the new mechanically unique cards that are specifically characters from the franchise, the game, comics, shows, whatever you want to.
Yep. And I'll put up the rest of them at the end of the episode during the credits. You can see I'll put up each of the cards so you can see them all, but we didn't have time to go through them all today.
Yeah.
Otherwise, that would be the whole episode.
That would have been the whole show today.
So that's cool. Another thing we wanted to talk about, kind of going into talking about, is Budget Commander dead?
Yeah.
Precons.
Yeah, so we obviously are in the Precon League. Now, the league is, obviously, we're 10 weeks in now, so a lot of stuff has been updated from our original decks. But one of the things that happened is Final Fantasy came out. And so the Final Fantasy decks, obviously, are sold out everywhere. They're very hard to get your hands on. If you are lucky enough to find one, God bless you.
Pricey.
Yeah, on top of that, they're going to be at least double the price of what they were at MSRP original drop. And unfortunately, if you're not near a shop that is more likely to do things the way they're asked to do by Magic, I'll put it that way, I guess is the easiest way to put it. You might not be able to get them for the price you should get them for, and you might have to keep waiting, unfortunately. But with that being said, one of the things is precons are always talked about a good way to get into the game of Magic. I still believe that. And with that being said, this is one of those times with the Final Fantasy precons where we have a Tales from the Table that kind of shows their power. So out of the 4 precons for Final Fantasy, the one I heard the least about was Y'shtola, which is the white, blue, black one. And she is kind of the spell slinger one, as it were. But her spell slinging is very unique. And so a lot of people were kind of saying they don't see the cohesiveness in the deck list. They don't understand how all of these things put together equal a well-run deck. First-hand experience, Duncan and I both had on Saturday night. Yeah, it runs pretty well.
All of the decks do. Every single Secret Lair, Final Fantasy deck ran very well.
Yeah, I have yet to see one not do what it was proposed to do.
Right.
The red, white, black one, that is a grave recursion with your creatures and kind of do crazy things happens every time. Our buddy Mike has that one. Ishtola, I have 2 friends now, Dwayne that's in the league as well as my other buddy. He has one. Both times they've played theirs, they have done exactly what they're supposed to do. Ping people down and then just overwhelm people with your card advantage. The Cloud deck, yeah, he gets out equipment and hits people hard real quick.
Yep.
You know, so and then lastly Titus, obviously that was the one everyone kind of talked about being the most powerhouse of the 4, I believe, because of the fact that I don't know if it was unintentionally or intentionally, they put a turn 2 potential win in Titus.
Yeah.
So, but with that being said, yeah, I mean the sheer power of those precons, very well done, very strong. I would say that they are probably closer to the 3 mark for even without game changers in them. Yeah. Because of how well they are built. And this kind of goes towards my complaint that we had the other last year about some of the precons they did, specifically the Modern Horizons 3 ones, where we're like, clearly they can make good ones.
Yeah. So here's my theory, though.
Yeah.
I feel like Final Fantasy was turned into standard late.
Right.
I feel like that was not the original plan. I feel like it was lumped in when they said from now on, Universes Beyond sets are for the most part going to be standard legal.
Right.
And so I don't think it was built that way. And I think some of the cards like Vivi and things like that reflect that, and I think the decks reflect that.
Right. I mean, I do see that.
I mean, these decks versus any of the other standard sets.
Yeah.
I mean,
they're monsters.
There's not many that can hold up against this. I mean, a couple from Ixalan.
Yeah, I mean, Ixalan Merfolk one might be able to hold up against it because, again, that one was a really well-tuned one. There's a couple. Was Thunder Junction legal? Standard legal?
It was, it was standard legal, but those decks were not all made equal.
Yeah, the Spellslinger one for the Thunder Junction, I think, might be one of the other ones that might be able to compete with it. Because, again, that one also, I think, had an infinite loop where you could win the game built into it. So, yeah, I mean, the big thing is it's kind of crazy how we're looking at these decks. And I will say this, I feel like maybe some of the powerhouseness of this set specifically was because it's Final Fantasy.
Yeah.
Like, they really wanted to make sure we get all these Final Fantasy dorks in here and buy all of our cards.
I think you're going to see a lot of cards from this banned from Standard.
Yeah.
And that just all goes to talk about the fact that I don't think these were meant to be standard style Commander decks.
Yeah, I mean that's a good point to your argument. I mean, I can definitely see that almost being like we can do it. We're fine. Oh crap. Like they looked at the calendar and they're like, does this one count? Are we sure?
Well, I mean, and so Modern Horizons 3 decks were not a standard legal set, and the decks reflected that. It was a boosted set.
Yeah.
I also feel like though ever since I said that the power level was not going up. They're like, okay, boys, he said it. Turn it up.
Yeah, he's like, I will definitely say, specifically Tarkir and Final Fantasy, unhinged. like Tarkir, and this is crazy for me to say because I was saying Tarkir when you compare it to all the other ones, like, man, was that a powerhouse set. Now Final Fantasy makes Tarkir look tame. Final Fantasy is just a monster of a set. Like, they just unleashed everything. It's almost like everyone in the Wizards that designed that set played Final Fantasy.
Yeah.
Like, every single one of them was like, yeah, we need to do this, by the way. This has to be in there, and it has to be the best thing in there. And they're like, great, but also this one needs to be the best thing in here also. Like, it's a crazy set. And so, with all that being said, leading into our topic of is budget commander dead, I feel like I personally will say if you're considering better commander, the range that you said 50 to 75, I think we're pretty close. I don't think it's quite there yet, but I think we're pretty close. And I'll give you my reasoning once you state your side of the fence. What do you think?
I think it takes more effort.
Okay.
But I think $50 to $75 decks that can compete can still be done. They're not as easy.
Right.
And I'm not saying like, oh, it's really tough, you got to dig. But I'm saying the guys that have been playing longer know cards that nobody else knows that do tricky things that can compete.
Right.
You know, some of the cards we've talked about on our podcast here, like Turnabout.
Yeah, and the cards of the day that we brought up before.
Yeah, and we probably need to start doing some more of that because I
Yeah,
think
to help people
need
out.
these decks.
Yeah.
So maybe we'll start adding some more of those in. But like, those cards help keep you up, even though they're not expensive cards,
Right.
because people aren't playing them. So it is still possible. It's harder. It is harder.
Yeah, I'd agree.
But I also think that there's some really good cards from recent sets that don't get the love and they're still very affordable.
And I think a lot of that has to do with kind of what my point is, which is they are so focused on making such heavy hitter cards that immediately jump in price and just stay there, that are cards that if they did it the right way, they could make it so there's versions that are expensive, and then they can make versions that are achievable to get and playable still. And here's an example. Cloud Midgard Mercenary. He is the white one that came out. The Surge foil borderless. I think it's called borderless. I can't remember. I always forget the difference. I think it's full art. The Surge foil full art version of him is up near like $800 or something like that, $700. The full art version, regular full art version, is a couple $100. The borderless version is like $30 or $40. The regular version is like $5-10. If they
could do that,
if they took
them,
that mentality with all of them, we would be great. But the problem is, like for example, I was looking it up. VV's regular version, not foil, not borderless, not full, nothing, just the regular $50 for that card. Just the regular run-of-the-mill version. Yeah. Why? Like, I get the special art. I get the Surge foil.
Well,
I get all of that.
It's because it's so powerful.
Right.
And CEDH players are buying the heck out of it.
And the other reason why is it is a mythic rare. There have been people opening boxes on boxes not getting it. To give you an idea, our buddy who was on the podcast, Taylor, him and his girlfriend opened up, I think, they opened up a total of like, between the bundle boxes, the regular play booster boxes, and the collector boxes, they opened up almost like 10 to 12 different products worth of boxes. They pulled 4. They pulled 1 Buster Sword. They pulled 1 Surge Foil Cloud. They pulled 1 Full Art Cloud. Like, the amount that they're printing and putting out there, I feel like, is a lot of the contributing factors to why these cards are so expensive. You're just not seeing them. And as soon as they do go out, like you said, people are gone. It's gone. Like we said, go find a Final Fantasy deck. I dare you. Go to any shop.
Well, so you can find them.
Yeah.
You can find them, actually. GameStop had them over the weekend.
Yeah.
And some of the ones around you may still have them. It's the places you wouldn't immediately go to because they're a little higher priced than the normal. But you're not going to find Cloud. You're not going to find Titus.
Right. I mean, and the one that our buddy bought
will be the most often the one you find.
Yeah, and that one, that's where our buddy bought it. He said he swung by GameStop and he had it. It was $90. Double what MSRP was for that deck when it originally.
No, MSRP on these were higher.
It was $50.
Was it?
Yeah, $50 because that's if you did the bundle for the regular, not the collectors. I'm not talking about collectors. The regulars, they're all about $50. Was MSRP, which is what they normally are. That's what they usually between $40 and $50 is.
I thought these started higher.
I mean, people may have been selling them for higher because that's what people do.
Anybody that got one for $50.
I mean,
the pre-orders at the shop were not $50, and they tried to stick to MSRP. Yeah. So I don't know, but anyway, yeah. I mean, Budget Commander is a lot tougher now.
Yeah,
these type of decks make it tougher. It also depends what you're building.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. If you want something unique, that's going to be more expensive probably.
Yeah, and if also the other thing you have to think about too is when you're building a budget deck, if you want to keep optimizing it, it's going to get more and more expensive. And I'll use a personal example. So I had a Yuriko, which is a ninjutsu deck. I built that deck at $50 when it originally started, with the cards I had available and a couple of cards from a YouTube channel that I found, Commander's Quarters, run by Mitch. He is the pioneer for Budget Commander, and I'm sure if he ever watches our show, he might reach out to us and be like, "You chumps, Budget's not dead. You just suck." I'm sure he wouldn't say that. He's a nice guy, but he is the pioneer for budget commander. He very much is someone that wants that type of commander to stay alive. And so he makes decks and everything. So I found his channel, I found it, and I was like, I already have most of these cards. It only ended up costing me like another $10 to $15 to get the rest of the cards that I needed. Well, over time, as I wanted that deck to get better and better and progress in overall, value and playability, I started adding $10 card here, $10 card there, $20 card here, and now that deck is valued somewhere between $500 and $600. And it started off as $50, and it did good at $50. Yeah. It wasn't unbeatable. It wasn't like crazy unfair or anything. It just was the budget version of what it could be. And so that's a lot of times too. What you have to remember is if you want to make a budget version of a deck like Yuriko or even the Dragon or even the Prosper or Calamax, there are ways to make budget versions of them, but don't look at a CEDH deck list and then expect your $50 less deck list to perform exactly the same as that one. That's something that you have to remember. If you're building on a budget, it may be very good and it still may be a 3. It's not going to be a 5.
Well, I mean, again, it's going to depend on commanders. I think Brago, remember when we did our $25 deck?
That's true.
Brago, it was impossible to make it fair.
Yeah, that is a monster commander.
Yeah. Urza High Lord Artificer.
Yeah.
I don't care how bad the artifacts you have in there are.
They're good.
You have a good deck.
Yeah, he's very much, and that's the thing is when you have these kind of commanders that have these abilities that kind of are good no matter what, I feel like that is the exception, right? When you have abilities that say no matter what else is kind of happening in the deck, the commander, as long as he's out, it's going to be a problem. Cranko Mob Boss. You can find 35 of the worst goblins in the world and build a mono red Cranko deck, and it will still probably smash a table every once in a while because it is disgusting.
Yeah.
There is like one combo that you need, and literally it costs like $2 to get that combo.
And the other thing I want to point out that I think goes against saying that budget commander is dead. Mm-hmm. There are so many cards I can think of that recently they've printed the heck out of.
Yeah.
And the value has dropped.
Yeah, it's plunged.
Birds of Paradise used to be very expensive.
Yeah, it used to be. I remember because I always wanted one. I was like, man, it's like a $20 plus card. I just can't spend it. I think it's like almost around $5 now for one. You can get a version of it.
And they've done that with a bunch of cards. What's the best strip black draw? The one that...
Oh, Necropotence.
No. Okay, that was the crazy one.
Oh, Phyrexian Arena? Or Black Market Connections?
Phyrexian Arena. That one, again, used to be expensive.
Yeah.
Now they printed the heck out of it.
And they started throwing it in some precons, too, which really helped drop the value on it.
So there's cards that are... I don't like the word staples because there's so many cards. But they're kind of staples for those good decks, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. That used to be kind of out of reach for budget, and now they're budget.
Right.
And it's not because they're not good anymore.
Yeah, it's just because of the amount of overprinting that's done on them. And the other thing that Duncan was mentioning before too is there are cards that people kind of just forget exist. Yeah. Like they don't realize like, oh, that's a card, that's a thing that actually exists in the game. Yeah. Yeah, that's a card. You can go get that and put that in your deck. It's legal. Go for it. Like, and that's something too that you have to remember is if you ever look up like best counter spells in blue, without fail, it's always going to be the $70 to $100 Force of Will and all those ones. Yeah, just because it costs you 2 blue mana doesn't mean it's a bad counter spell. That's not like I don't like people saying, "Oh, that's too expensive for a counter spell. It has to be free." No, it doesn't. Stop it. Not every counter spell has to be free.
Counter spells are great, and there is one actually in Bloom Barrel that if you gift a card, it's a 2 blue mana counter target creature spell, or if you gift a card to counter anything.
Yeah.
Gifting a card does kind of hurt, but it's still 2. But the 1 and 2 blue counter spells, like there's a ton of them. I've talked about them before. They counter a spell and then they do a thing.
Yeah, that's the thing that people kind of, and this goes back to when we were talking about the deck building, like having a card do 2 things. That's something that people overlook is, instances, for example. People always think, well, I want the cheapest CMC version of an instance, so that way I can have to save the least amount of mana. Well, sometimes doing that isn't the best idea because If you spend one more mana, you get something that has an additional ability that's fantastic. The best one I can point out comes to the top of my head. Didn't say please. 1 blue counter. Counter target spell. Target player mills top 3 cards of the library. Yeah, know who doesn't want to mill their cards? Everybody.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know how much hate I get every single time I pull out my new Hope mill deck? A lot. I get murdered immediately because when it's turn 4 and 30 cards from everybody's library is gone, they're not having a good time anymore. It was cute the first 2 times. But there's so many 3-drop counter target spell. If it's countered this way, exile it. You know who hates that? Every Grave Recursion deck. Because they can't get it back. Put it on the bottom of the library.
There's refute.
Yeah.
Counter target spell, draw a card, discard a card.
Great. Yeah.
I'll take it.
Yeah. You know, my favorite one, what's it called? I'm going to kill myself now. I just had it in my mind. It starts with an R. It's white, blue, and it says counter target spell. The player cannot cast any more spells for the remainder of the turn.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a silence on a counter. So not only am I countering your first spell,
that's pennies. I think that might be $1 or $2, but
yeah, but comparative to when you're looking at Force of Will, which is a $90 counter,
and
you know,
there are free counters that are not expensive.
Yeah,
foil. You discard an island and another blue card, and it's free.
Yeah,
normally it costs 2 and 2 blue.
Yeah.
What's the other free one I play? Well, it's not. I don't know how cheap it is, but Flare of Denial.
Okay.
The newer one from Bloomborough where you sack a blue creature. But it's not $90.
Yeah, right, and that's the point.
I don't think it's very expensive, but it's not $90. And there are free ones you can do. There's also ones that are relatively free. Mm-hmm. Rewind is one, and
Unwind.
Unwind, is
that
it? Yeah,
Unwind
is the other.
Yeah.
Both of those, by the time you're done, you spent no mana on it.
Yeah, as long as they go off, you get to untap the lands you spent. And what's actually even better is it just says untap 3 lands. So if you have a land that taps for 2, you actually net mana when you use those.
Or
lands.
if you used something that reduces it, like a Sapphire Medallion or something.
Yeah.
Like you're netting mana.
Yeah,
on that.
you're going to net mana because they both have colorless in their cost.
And both of those cards are very cheap. Rewind and
yeah, both sub $1 for sure. So, I mean, the idea of when you're looking up a deck and you're going to find an idea for a deck to build and play, you're always going to see what, at least from my experience, you're always going to see the cards that are like CEDH level first, because that's the cards that obviously everyone's throwing in all these decks, and so those are the ones that are always the most relevant. But the cool thing is there are websites out there, there are channels out there, much like our own, that tries to give you budget-friendly options to get into this game. Because the biggest thing is at the end of the day, and I really don't care what anyone else says, the whole purpose of this game, yeah, you can vouch. The whole purpose of this game is to have fun with your friends. And at the end of the day, that's all that matters. Even if sometimes, which would happen to me on Saturday night, you get your teeth kicked in 5 times in a row in one night, and it's not fun at all. At the end of the day, I can still say I had a good time because I got to spend hours upon hours with my buddies doing what I love the most, which is playing games and hanging out. And so, you know, when you're looking at these budget-friendly decks, you don't always have to think about it as what's my win percentage going to be with this deck. Sometimes just look at it as, you know what? I built a deck that has beaten $900 decks, and it cost me $50. Like, not many people can kind of hang their hat on that. So when you get to do it, it's kind of fun.
Yeah.
Because that's a cool...
And so that's kind of the way I'm building decks now, but I'm not specifically looking at budget.
Right.
The nice thing for me now is my card collection is so vast, I don't need to buy many cards.
Right, yeah.
You know what I mean?
You still do because you have a problem. but you don't need to.
The way I've been building decks is I don't want the game changers in there.
Right.
I want to build a really good deck with no game changers. That's
right.
my goal.
Yeah.
If I can build technically it's a 3, but I can play a 3 or a 4, I love that.
Right.
By doing that, you're really playing the cheaper cards. Game changers are the expensive cards.
Yeah.
Not all of them, but I'm saying.
Yeah, for the most part, I mean, like your Cyclonic Rift, your Ristic Study, your for black, there's a couple in Yuriko's one now. She's also a little bit more expensive as a commander finally.
And the other thing I do is I look for cheap cards that do a cool thing.
Yeah.
And I buy the heck out of them.
Yeah.
I'll buy 20. Jeff makes fun of me because I brought over some cards for him and his son to build one time. He's like, "Why do you have 20 of this card?" I go, "Because it's so good and so cheap."
Yeah, it's like a 10-cent card.
He goes, "And here's another one. You have like 15 of this one and 10 of this one." I'm like, "Yeah." The one recently that I found, Green Slime. right?
Okay.
Here, right in the middle here, I'm going to insert a card of the day. Right there. Green slime. 2 and a green.
Okay.
Counter target when it has flash. When it enters, counter target activated or triggered ability, and then destroy the thing that was doing it.
So not only is it a stifle, it's a destroy card?
Yes.
That's gross.
For 2 and a green.
Yeah.
It's so cheap.
The only thing I can think of that's even somewhat close is the 3 green ooze. And it only destroys an artifact, creature, or enchantment, I think.
Yeah.
I'd much rather have that.
Yeah. So what made me find this is Tisha's Tidebinder is a card I play a lot.
Yeah, that's the blue one, the 2 and a blue.
The blue one, 2 and a blue, comes in, stifles an ability, and then that if it's a creature, planeswalker, or artifact, it has no abilities.
Yeah, it loses all abilities.
As long as Tisha's out.
Right.
Not just the one you countered, it has no abilities. Great card. And I was like, there's got to be something else. And I'm like, there's a green one? Sold.
Yeah. How much did it end up costing you, the green one?
It was like 20 cents.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's the thing is if you only go to the sites where they're, pre-building decks or what have you, and like you're kind of just looking at pre-built decks, you'll never be able to experience some of these cards that exist out there. And
if you're going to EDH Rec,
yeah,
nothing against EDH Rec.
Yeah.
I love EDH Rec. I don't use it a lot, but when my last few cards, or if I need some ideas, I do go there.
Yeah.
They're showing you the most common ones people use. Those are going to be probably the expensive ones.
Right.
The best ones. I guess you can sort it by reverse, but you're also then getting sometimes the worst ones.
Yeah, there's
a middle ground of things that people don't know about. There's so many cards that just slip through the cracks and don't get popular.
Yeah, EDH Rec does have a budget searching option, but the big thing is Magic has their own search engine where you can type in a keyword and filter it by colors, and it will show you every card in those colors that has that keyword.
Sorry, Wizards, your site isn't the best.
No, it's not. It's not user-friendly at all.
Scryfall is a much better one. Scryfall, you can signify everything. You can tell it what what your commander's colors are, so they can only give you results that fit in that.
Right.
You can give it what keyword or what word you want it to look for.
Yeah.
That's a much friendlier tool than the Magic tool, a lot more robust.
Yeah.
But you got to find these cards that are so good.
Yeah.
Like, honestly, there's nothing better than that Tisha's Tidebinder and the green slime to me for countering abilities. There might be cheaper. Stifle's cheaper, but it's more expensive dollar-wise.
Right.
But it's not as good. You stopped it one time. These stop it forever.
Right. I mean, that's the thing is, and that's what we talk about when we say finding a card that does more for its value. So again, like you said, those cards CMC-wise are more, but they do more. And not only that, they do a lot more.
Yeah.
That changes things. I can tell you right now from personal experience, I have the blue one that he's talking about. It's in my precon for the precon league. I literally kept the guy out of the game the entire game because the first time he went to go use Jessica's dragon person from Tarkir, the red, white, blue chick, the first time he went to go use her, I stifled it, literally wasn't able to do anything the rest of the game. Because he relied so heavily on being able to use that ability, I just stopped him. He couldn't do anything.
Not only that, you took away the flying, you took away the vigilance.
Yep.
I mean, it takes away everything.
Yeah.
Some of the strongest cards in Magic these things take care of. You play a Tisha's Tidebinder against somebody's One Ring, guess what? They're sitting there with a useless artifact.
Yeah, it doesn't produce, doesn't do anything.
Yeah, it doesn't hurt them anymore, so that part's not great. But,
but
it's not doing anything for them
It's
either.
not getting them draw, which is what they care about. Yep. It's not drawing them 6 cards.
It stops an Orcish Bowmasters. It stops all these cards. They're so powerful, so expensive.
Yeah, I mean, and that's the thing, too, is it says that you can, when you cast her with Flash, you counter any target, activated, or trigger ability. And then if it's a creature or artifact or planeswalker, it then stays. So if you want to be that guy, you can technically counter someone doing a fetch land because that's an activated ability.
Yep.
You can counter someone's Soul Ring and then they can't use it the rest of the game. Like, there's so many sneaky things you can do with that. And again, it's a card that is, I think, under 50 cents. It's out there. Like, it's a matter of finding it. It is harder.
I am not as positive on the cheapness of Tisha's Tidebinder.
It's 2 and a blue.
No, the dollar.
Oh, the dollar value, yeah. I think it's under $1. Because I scanned in all my cards for that for Commander League, and it didn't ping me with the big ping.
Yeah.
It did the regular ping. So I think it's under $1. But yeah, so the big thing is it's I think definitely now, especially with all the sets coming out, with all the big banger cards that they're making and spells and everything, it's definitely getting harder and harder to be able to build a deck sub $50, $75, which we would consider a budget deck. But it's doable.
It's $1.
It is $1? Okay.
It's $1.
Okay.
But that's still, I mean, that's not horrible.
Again,
if you want to build a $50 deck, that's worth spending $1 of your budget on.
Yeah, I mean, because you're going to get a lot of other cards that are much cheaper that will definitely help you offset that. And
but if you're playing green, use the green slime. It's very similar and way cheaper dollar wise.
I have been playing Magic for almost 20 years. I've never even heard of a green slime card.
Yeah, it's not that old. It's only a few years old. But I think it was from one of the D&D sets. But
yeah.
It's cards like that. You got to find. That's why I say it's a little harder. Mm-hmm. But I don't think Budget Commander's dead. I think it requires a little bit more investigating. But once you've done it, now you remember for the next time. So once you get this knowledge, once you know these cards, you're going to remember for the next time, and it's not as hard.
It's actually funny because thinking back on it, it's almost like 10 years ago, building a high-level competitive deck that would win constantly was very difficult to do. And now I feel like it's flip-flopped. It's actually harder to build a deck that's budget-friendly instead of building the CEDH monster.
You might be right.
Yeah, because it's just crazy.
It might be that it's not that Budget Commander isn't dead. Non-budget Commander has gone off the rails.
That might be it. I mean, and I will say I am guilty of it. I have 2 decks, and we have, like I said, we have buddies that we play with that are getting back into Magic, so they're only using precons. I have 2 decks that I will not play with them because it's unfair. There's no way they can even get close to competing with Prosper. Yeah, Prosper is one of them, and Calmax is my other one. If you guys haven't heard me talk about them, I've talked about them a bunch on other episodes. They're just monsters. They as soon as they get started, you just don't stop them. Game's over. It's period. So, but again, yeah, there is budget-friendly decks, and I've been kind of doing the same thing as Duncan. I've been trying to keep within the bracket system. I'm trying to stay around a 3 or less, even make a 3 without any game changers. Like my Hope deck that I built has no game changers in it, and I would consider that pretty close to a 3 as it stands right now. Now, I found out I was cheating. I was 2 cards short because I was missing sleeves apparently, so I got to re-up them. But yeah, so I would say overall, I think Budget Commander, you can definitely still do it. It's definitely feasible. You can still win with it. It's still.
I think it's more satisfying now.
I do too.
Because you have to work a little bit at it. It's not just, hey, I'm going to take this precon and add a few cards. Now look at me, I got Budget Commander.
Right.
You know, it takes a little bit more than that sometimes. But the payoff is so much better because the amount of times I hear, what is that card? Yeah. When I was in Vegas, like, there was this one guy that was taking pictures of almost every card I played. He's like, I've never played that before. It was awesome.
Yeah,
I was like,
it's cool, man. The things you can do is cool. I definitely say a hard-earned victory sometimes tastes sweeter than the easy-earned ones, you know? And unfortunately, a lot of the games we play now, everyone goes and digs for their combo, and whoever gets it first wins. So when you have this guy pull off a combo that's 6 cards and it wins the game with a deck that's less than $50, it's like, you know what? You earned it, dude. Like, you got it. Congrats. Yep. So I definitely think I would have to agree with you. I think
Were you talking about my Rata Drawback deck?
Yeah. I mean, you got a couple now that are just like silly, and it's like this game is just a slugfest, and you come out, it's just silly. You know, it's fun. But yeah, I personally am a huge fan of it. If I had any recommendation, Mitch from Commander Quarters would probably be my number one recommendation to advise you on how to build budget decks. He does a great job of it. He has hundreds and hundreds of decks that he's built. And
I can tell you another one, but I guess you're going to have to watch the old videos because he just posted that he's quitting EDH because he feels like power creep is too bad. But I don't know why, because he's brought all these cards, but deck building is another one.
Okay.
The deck building YouTube channel. They have some great, like he kept doing these 10 cards that you need to play in Commander.
Yeah.
And they were bangers.
Yeah.
And they're all cheap.
Yeah.
Like stuff nobody plays. Really niche stuff sometimes, but sometimes stuff you're like, oh my word, I didn't know that existed.
Yeah, and that's the cool thing too, is when you find one that's niche that works specifically really well in Commander, like that's how niche it is, like that's a fun card to always add.
Yeah. So it's not dead. It takes more work. but it's more satisfying. And the look on somebody's face when you beat them with all these cards that they didn't even know existed, like you kind of feel like they think you made up half the cards.
Right. Yeah. Just a fake deck.
So, but anyway, give us your thoughts on that. Email us cast@commanderspod.com if you think the budget commander is dead, or if you have some tips for people that want to try and build with a budget.
Or if you even have a budget deck you've built and you want to show it off and send it to us, we'd be more than happy to review it and showcase it.
I would love to see the best budget deck.
Yeah.
Send us your best budget deck. If the winner, we will definitely talk about it on air. We'll do a whole episode about it.
And heck, who knows? Because we're going to try to do some recordings of games here soon. We're getting more equipment to do it, so we're trying to get there. We might even do a week where we use the budget decks you guys send in to see who actually is the tyrant of the table with the budget.
Yep. So last thing before we go, that doesn't do what you think it does. Yep. Now, we've talked about copying spells before.
Yes.
But there's a specific aspect of this that we have not solidly addressed. And I realized that I did not specifically know the answer, and I always erred on the side of caution. And I was wrong. I did it wrong. So, when you're casting a copy of a spell, when it says copy a spell, and then you may cast the copy, and sometimes they'll say without paying its mana cost, sometimes they'll say with mana of any color,
right.
Sometimes there's no stipulations. None of that matters. If it says you copy a spell and then you cast the spell, or cast the copy, you are casting a spell for everything that cares about it. Rhystic Study, anything else.
Bluefish,
Tauren Mauler, the Hydra.
Yeah.
Any of those things that care about people casting spells, you are casting a spell because it is a copy of the card at that point. It is not a copy of the spell on the stack, such as ones that say copy the spell and that's all they say.
Right. And this is a further point on that, just to conclude, is make sure you're using the right copy, because if you use that on a Cyclonic Rift, you do not get the overloaded version of Cyclonic Rift.
Depending on the wording, you may or may not be able to cast
for the overloaded version.
Because if it says without paying its mana cost, that is an alternate casting cost. Therefore, you cannot use a different alternate casting cost.
Correct. So you would only
if it says by using mana of any color, I believe is the same thing.
Yeah.
It's an alternate casting ability, so you can't use the thing. But if it just says you may cast it, then you may cast it.
Yeah, and that also is important for modal spells.
Yep.
Remember that also, because modal spells are, I believe, additional casting cost.
And that is something that we talked about on here, that you copy it as it is when you copy it on the stack. But if you're copying the spell, you get to choose and pay for the modes. Now, if it says... so if it's spree and it says you may cast it without paying its mana cost, you cannot cast that. Yeah. Because you can't pay. Actually, you can, because that one, it's an additional cost. You can pay additional costs after not paying you just can't pay for alternative cost. Right. So you can do spree. I'm trying to think of ones where you couldn't. I can't think of one off the top of my head.
I think if it's like the one where...
you pay for each additional...
Yeah.
I think you still can.
I think that's alternative, though.
It might be. Yeah. It depends on the wording.
Yeah, but it's very, very key on the wording, which, again, Magic makes very clear in this game.
But this one, I'm specifically talking about casting a copy of a spell. If it uses those words, you are casting a spell again. But what I started to say is we have had a lot of people asking us about the... when they copy a spell and it has modes and then they try and change the mode, it's like, no, you can't do that. You copied it off the stack. It is exactly like it was. Yeah. So that doesn't do what you think it does. So that's all the time we got for this week. Yeah. I think that was kind of fun talking about Budget Commander. It makes me want to. It almost makes me want to do a $25 deck again, but the problem with those is they ran so slow. Yeah. It was just like brutal.
I mean, that is a one, I feel like, a lot of times, because, man, it is...
It's
like tar in your shoes, man.
Yeah.
It's a rough
When you're at $25, I mean, you really have to think about it. Can you afford a Soul Ring? Because that's $1. Right. I got 99 more cards I got to put in there. Yeah. But anyway, thanks for joining us. You can always find us at youtube.com/@commanderspod. You can email us, cast@commanderspod.com. Again, we love hearing from you guys. Anything you want to talk about, you want to subject that you want us to address, a deck that you want us to talk about, a trend you see, anything like that. Patreon.com/commanderspod. If you want to support us, we really appreciate it. Check out our website, commanderspod.com. And don't forget, play bold, swing wide, and don't forget to pay the one.
Commander Pod, where the stories unfold, with heroes and villains, new and old. Duncan and Sloan guide the way in the world of games we play. So tune in, friends, let's fly and go. The Commander's Pod, the love will show. From our decks to yours, we share the spark in the world of magic. We'll leave a